Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions. How about those Chiefs?
Welcome to the Kingdom Corner here. We got Dale and Andrew here, your hosts of the Kingdom Corner, and we are here to discuss all things happening in the NFL playoffs, specifically the Chiefs. We got Mahomes' injury to discuss. We have potential playoff and Super Bowl matchups. We have, the game against the Jaguars. We have lots of stuff going on today, Dale. So how do you feel about the Chiefs going into the AFC Championship game?
Well, I feel like right now it's a normal thing. 5 times in a row, the Kansas City Chiefs have been in the AFC Championship game and have, correct me if I'm wrong, but have hosted at Arrowhead Stadium.
Yeah, that is correct. 5 times in a row, the AFC Championship has been at Arrowhead Stadium. Some have been called the Arrowhead Invitational at this point.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so lots of good games this weekend. And some blowouts too. So yeah. So let's jump into the NFC side first, and then we'll get to the AFC with the Chiefs. But first game, the Eagles versus Giants. Any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, Giants should have never been there.
Yeah, Daniel Jones got exposed. There's a lot of people talking about how he made himself a payday after the last game against the Vikings, who have a horrible defense. And now they couldn't do much of anything. They put up 7 points against the Eagles, and it was never close. And
I think that shows you again just how important that first seed is and getting that bye. You know what I mean? Like just where arrested Jalen Hurts, arrested Patrick Mahomes, and then they came in and they did what they had to do. So
yeah, that's right. And it also shows you what a great quarterback does for your team as well. And I'm not throwing any shade at Daniel Jones. He's a much better athlete than people probably gave him credit for, but maybe he's not quite to the level that people were crowning him after his first playoff victory against the Vikings.
Yeah, I think you got to ask the question in the organization, like, can we win a Super Bowl with Daniel Jones? Yeah. And I would say no.
Yeah, but you don't kick that guy to the curb until you have somebody to replace him.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
So you got to hold on to him so you actually have your replacement in building. But
I think I think that was his 5th year, maybe, and he has to negotiate his deal. So they have to figure out: are they going to keep him? Are they going to let him go? Are they going to pay him? What's he going to want to get paid? What's the Giants willing to pay him? And so I think it's a lot of questions. So it's going to be an interesting offseason for the Giants
for sure. And then we have the Cowboys versus the 49ers.
We got to see the worst play in NFL history.
Man, no joke. First off, Dak Prescott is not near as great as people have crowned him to be. He had a lot of costly turnovers in that game that, really changed the momentum of the game and changed the outcome of the game possibly too.
Right.
But even if he didn't throw those, I'm not sure the Cowboys are still going to beat the 49ers. Brock Purdy, that rookie quarterback, still looks good. I keep thinking that he's going to hit a rookie wall at some point. Someone's going to throw something at him, and still looks good.
I watched a little bit of the game. I thought there was a couple times the game seemed a little moving a little too fast for him, but he settled down and he got the dub. So credit to him, and stood in there and made some excellent throws. I was on Twitter and I saw a question, so I'll ask you.
All right.
Who would you rather have as your quarterback, Dak Prescott or Derek Carr?
Ooh, man.
I thought that was a pretty good. I thought that was a pretty good question. Like, who would you rather have if you would want Dak Prescott or Derek Carr?
Man. I guess I'll go Dak Prescott, but I'm not confident in that answer either.
Yeah. Well, I would say just because he's younger.
Yeah.
And maybe you could, you could get some
a little more mobile too.
A little more mobile, yeah. So, man, that's a tough question.
That is a tough question. So, interesting. Yeah, I don't know if you can pick a right or wrong answer in that.
Right. Yeah.
Close. So now the NFC Championship game is going to be the Eagles versus the 49ers. The potential to be a great game right there.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, exactly. A potential. We're not guaranteeing any great games out in here. So
no. Once you get to this point in the playoffs, there are no guarantees. It's all just speculation at this point. So playoff records, regular season records, none of that matters once you get to this part. It's just this one game is all that really matters in that moment. So who do you think you got between the Eagles and 49ers?
I think this is probably maybe one of the greatest games we'll ever see.
It might
The
be.
Eagle, I mean, just because the 49ers defense is so great.
Outside of the Chiefs Bengals playoff game from last year, but yes.
Yes. Yeah. But just so great where the 49ers defense is so good. They got a rookie quarterback. They got so many weapons on offense. The Eagles, their defense is so good. They got so many weapons on offense that I think like it's going to be a coach. I think it's going to be a coaching battle. Like who is going to make the best adjustments in the game and who are you going to take away? So I've thought about this and I think the Eagles looked so good. And it's hard because they played the Giants,
Yes.
And that's where I'm like, man, but they played the Giants. Did they really play anybody? And the 49ers played the Cowboys but they were right there with them the whole game. And they're deep, and the Dallas Cowboys defense is pretty good.
Yeah.
It may not be elite as the 49ers defense, but it still has some players on there. So I think the Eagles win this game.
Yeah, I go back and forth on this one. Oh man, I still don't really know. I don't know who to pick. But I think the 49ers might be the real deal.
I think they are.
I
just
think
don't
the
know.
49ers,
Yeah.
I'm going to pick 49ers to win this game.
Okay.
I think their defense is that good, and their front seven is going to give that rookie quarterback, Brock Purdy, I think they're going to give him a lot to look at. It's probably going to be the best defense he's faced all year.
Oh, yeah. Hey, yeah, hands down.
Yeah, and so I'm going to go with that simply. I guess, yeah. I'm still going to go with 49ers, even though Brock Purdy might see some new things and maybe the best defense he's looked at. I'm still good. I almost made the argument.
You're confident. You almost talked yourself out of it. You almost talked yourself out of it, bud.
But, I'm still going to stick with the 49ers there.
Hey, stick with your heart. Hey, follow your heart. What does your heart say? Well, I just think Eagles are a matchup nightmare, I think, because they have those running backs. They have Jalen Hurts. I mean, and –
yeah. Well,
if you load the box and you leave one-on-one with that Smith kid and A.J. Brown, good luck.
Yeah. Yeah.
So good luck. That's all. I mean.
But the problem with the 49ers with their defensive front, they don't have to load the box.
Yeah, that's true.
They can do it without loading the
box. And their linebackers.
The
I think that's true. Yeah. That may be the best defense the Eagles have faced, too.
Yeah. You're probably right.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Okay.
And I think I misspoke a second ago. You're talking about being the greatest game, and I meant the Chiefs and Bills game from the last playoffs.
I knew what you meant, Mike. I'm glad you clarified that for everyone else. So I said one of the greatest games. It has potential. One of the greatest games in the NFL history.
So which is of these between the Eagles and 49ers is the most dangerous team coming out of the NFC? And we're not going to talk about who from the AFC will or will not make the playoffs or make the Super Bowl, rather, at this point. But whoever on the AFC side makes the Super Bowl, who would be the team you'd least like to face between 49ers and Eagles?
Probably the 49ers.
Yeah, I think so too. They look like the most complete team right now.
Yeah.
So, but the Eagles with Jalen Hurts running and what he can do with his legs too.
Oh,
it's going to be a formidable matchup between those two teams.
Yeah.
So, but then we had the Chiefs and Jaguars game this last Saturday. We were able to be at that game.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Atmosphere. Trevor Lawrence is now 37-1 on Saturday. So he is no longer undefeated on Saturdays, as some of those commentators were pointing out before the game this last week.
Yeah, that is. It was a great game, very loud at times, and so I think maybe not the loudest I've heard it, but very loud at times, and so it was pretty loud against that Bills Chiefs game, and so a year ago or 2 years ago, a year ago, so it's wild to think. So, but definitely a great atmosphere, and just definitely to see the Chiefs get the win was a great thing.
Yeah, so absolutely, and it was almost dead silent in that stadium after Mahomes went down with that injury. I mean,
I'm glad you brought that up.
I mean, when he went down with that injury, there wasn't much of anything going on. People weren't moving. People are just standing there staring like, what just happened? What is going on with Mahomes? And I mean, there's almost an audible gasp when he was actually able to stand up and hobble off on his own, even though he wasn't walking. The fact he's able to stand up and, somewhat hobble off or wherever, that made a huge difference. And you almost hear the crowd go, oh, Just
Yeah.
like, okay, well, he's at least on his feet. Doesn't mean much at this point, but he's on his feet.
Right.
But credit to Chad Henne. I mean, the
Oh,
guy
yeah.
comes in, pinned back at his own 2-yard line on the next series, and leaves the Chiefs on a 98-yard touchdown drive, which is the longest touchdown drive in Chiefs postseason history. So,
Man.
well done,
There you
Chad.
go. Chad Henne. Here we go. Anything's possible.
Yeah. And also in the game, few records I think were also set. Andy Reid now moves into sole possession of second place among all-time postseason wins among coaches. Travis Kelce set a record in this past game and is now the tight end with the most single receptions in a game in postseason history. So lots of records being set, and Kelce keeps on moving up the ladder as far as just top receiving yards in postseason history. He's got a ways to go to get first, but if the Chiefs continue this run they're on here, he has a really good shot to get at least second place, depending on his games, maybe first, but that'd be maybe even a stretch to get first at this point. So how do you feel? Yeah. How do you feel about the Mahomes injury moving forward? They came out later and said it was a high ankle sprain. I'm not sure exactly what's going on because sometimes, teams are very elusive to really give away too much on the injury. But when Mahomes hurt his ankle, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago, whenever it was, against the Jaguars early in the season, Andy Reid said this one that he has today is not as bad as that one.
Yeah. And he said he played the next week on that high ankle sprain. Now, it was his left foot, not his right foot, which I think makes a difference.
Yeah.
For passing. And then, but in that game, the next week, he played the Raiders and he threw for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yes. So that makes me feel good. So I hope that's the kind of production we see this next week as well.
Yeah. And, man, it just, like you said, I mean, to be in the stadium and to feel like the nervous energy in the stadium was unreal. I've never been a part of anything like that where you felt like everyone was just nervous. And in the stadium, you don't have the announcer giving you updates. We don't have the TV broadcast giving us updates. And so I was texting a couple people, finding out what was going on, what was happening. And so, but it was strange. And then to just see Chad Henne come in, was like, oh no, so maybe worse than we thought. But credit Mahomes. I mean, again, I think that just shows you how he's committed to the game, how he's committed to the Kansas City Chiefs, committed to winning on one ankle.
I think more than anything, it just shows you the competitor that he is.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't want to come out of the game at all, and heard on the post-game comments, Mahomes said Andy Reid told him, well, you're going to get checked out anyways. You're not going back in until you get checked out. So he went to the trainer, says, let's go right now before halftime so I can get back in as soon as possible. And so, yeah, that guy is a competitor. So speaking of,
I think Andy Reid only needed to watch that video of him running back to the locker room. He was running. He was sprinting to the back of the x-ray machine. So
he's not watching that. So, and he doesn't care about that either. Andy Reid is concerned about those guys and their health.
Right, sure.
So, it looks like Mahomes is going to play this next week, which is a good thing. And we'll get into this next game against the Bengals coming up here in a second. But a few questions for you first. So,
all right.
First off, Mahomes looks like he might win the MVP this year. He should. But you can make an argument that he may have deserved to win the MVP more than just this year or the year he did, maybe every year he's played. So, the question is, has Mahomes normalized greatness? Do we just sometimes forget how great he is because of how much we see him play?
Yeah, I think that is a real thing. And I've been talking to a lot of people about this. I have a couple of Mahomes haters in my life, which, pray for me. And so I have to, constantly defend. I'm like, and the fact that, Joe Burrow, let's just use Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. Joe Burrow got hurt his rookie year. So you kind of, that's a wash. Everyone wants to throw that out. And then Josh Allen, we've all seen Josh Allen grow and become the quarterback that he is today. And he's gotten better almost every year. I think he's probably stayed the same, stagnant a little bit this year between last year. But when Mahomes entered the league until today, right? Or as long as he plays, I think he has played at a high level and just has continued. I mean, it's almost like he came in his first year and he's been there for 10 years. And I think that's where it's like, oh, we didn't see him struggle. We didn't see him like grow. He just came onto the scene and was great. And I think that's where he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. Like, oh, we're just kind of used to him. Yeah. Used to his greatness.
Yeah. I mean, you can almost make the argument too that he has grown some. I understand
what
you're saying too. That he didn't look like he needed much growth this first year just because of how great he started out. But he has some growth. And I'll also point out too that Mahomes' greatness, I mean, we've almost become accustomed to the no-look pass. We've almost become accustomed to the sidearm pass, to left-handed passes, to just
the hook shot. Don't forget about the hook shot.
Yeah, the hook shots. I mean, to just the little forward tosses into the end zone as you think he ran past the line of scrimmage and he hasn't. I mean, there's just so much that goes into his game that we see like, oh, yeah, that's a great play. And we forget other quarterbacks are not doing this. Right. And it's not just us as Chiefs fans, but I think in general across the nation as sports commentators and everybody else, they've also kind of forgotten the greatness of Mahomes too, because it's like, okay, well, yeah, that's just what he does. And so instead of just giving him all the credit he deserves, they just think, well, that's just what he does. Let's find somebody else who, seems to be having a great year. Right. And it's almost the Michael Jordan argument too, right?
Right.
You can make the argument that Michael Jordan deserved the MVP more times than he got as well. I think he had 5 MVPs and he led the league in scoring 10 out of 11 years. Right. So, and one of those years he didn't lead is because of the year he came back after he took a year off to play baseball. Right. And then he led the league again in scoring. So, I mean, you could just, it's almost the same kind of argument. Just you get used to greatness and just wonder if sometimes we just take it for granted. So here's a question that we heard discussed on the Kelsey podcast, right?
Okay.
And then we'll get to your question that you can ask. But could the average male run for a yard in the NFL? But we heard on the Kelsey podcast, and it was such a good question that it's worth discussing.
Yeah. So the average male, 1 yard. I mean, I got a lot of questions. There's a lot of variables here. Do you get to pick your offensive line? Do you get to pick the defense? Or does someone else get to pick the defense you're running against? Is it a team or is it you get to handpick linemen and people like that? Are we playing all pro? Yeah. So give me an all pro line and I'll get 1 yard. I don't know about the average man, but I'll get 1 yard.
Yeah.
Maybe 3.
I would say the average man. Let's just say it's this too. The average man between the ages of 18 and 35. Okay, roughly a span of the NFL career. So we won't even count those who are older or much younger, but just males 18 to 35, or you can just say even 18 to 30 to be a little more in that range. But the average male 18 to 30, I'm a youth pastor. I've met a lot of these guys coming up. I'm having my doubts on if the average could.
Yeah.
Now, do I think I could? Maybe. Yeah, I think I could.
Yeah.
I mean, I might need some medical insurance and coverage before this game starts because I might not be walking after I get that yard, but I think I can get a yard.
I think I can get a yard.
I mean, I might get a yard and get pushed back 8, but I think I can get a yard.
What would your play be? What would you do? Would you want to be running back, quarterback, just quarterback sneak?
Oh, no. This isn't quarterback sneak. We're talking about just a straight running play where the quarterback hands you the ball and you have to run. Now, you can pick if you want to do a sweep or, a bulge up the middle. Or
I've seen how fast Willie Gay is. I ain't going on the outside.
I'm not either. Yeah,
Willie Gay could cover some ground.
Up the middle. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so if I'm and it depends on your offensive line too, because
what if Chris Jones or Aaron Donald is waiting for you in the middle?
Ooh, man, that'd be scary. If those guys see you back there and they know you're running, you might not get to the line of scrimmage.
I don't know if you would. Yard. Oh, yeah.
So I need to pick my own line. That's for sure. If I had to go with the Chiefs line, I'd be running behind Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith, though.
There you go. Come on.
I'll tell you this.
Orlando Brown? You're not putting Orlando Brown with you?
Well, he is a better run blocker than pass blocker. That's for sure. And we didn't talk about this, but it was his guy that got Mahomes injured in the game on Saturday.
yeah.
And so if I'm Brett Veach in the offseason when he's wanting to get paid, I'm having a screenshot.
You're showing that film, huh?
Oh, I'm not even showing the film. I have that screenshot printed off on a large canvas hung in my office behind me as he walks in the door. And I say, so let's talk about how much you want to be paid.
Yeah.
And that's going to be something he's looking at behind me, that huge picture of Mahomes getting hurt and him standing over his guy looking at this happen as he's in those contract negotiations. So anyways, but Orlando Brown.
Passionate.
I'm
passionate. You are. All right.
I mean, I'm not saying that Orlando Brown doesn't deserve to be a starting left tackle, but he does not deserve to be the highest paid starting left tackle.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Hey, all right. I can agree with that. I can get behind that. I love me some Orlando Brown. Big boy, man. Big guy.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
I mean,
because here's the thing, too. If it takes Mahomes getting hurt for the offensive line and specifically Orlando Brown to step up, that's not good. They should have motivation for this game either way.
Okay, well, I'm glad you brought that up. So that kind of leads us to our next question, right?
All right.
So the offensive line in the second half kept Mahomes clean. Now, there's one time I think where he felt he got kind of knocked down when he stepped up into the pocket to make that touchdown pass to MVS. And so, but for the most part, Mahomes had time and was clean. And I think a lot had to do with. And this, I don't know. I'm still working this out. This is not I don't even know if I believe this because number one, I think it takes away from Mahomes. That's the first thing. But Mahomes stood back there and he was clean the second half. And so is the offensive line more of a traditional offensive line, like a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning offensive line where they can just stand there and pick people apart? And so, but what that takes away from Mahomes is his creativity, extending plays, kind of the street ball football that he plays. So what do you think? Do you think Mahomes should be more of a stationary pocket passer, or
do I think he should be more of a stationary one?
Yeah,
no, I do not. I do not think he should be because that takes away from his game.
Yeah,
now,
definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah. Now, to your point, does that make the offensive line better or worse? I think Mahomes kind of got in the habit of running a little more 2 years ago when his offensive line was not good.
Right.
When everybody was hurt and everything else. And so he didn't have a solid offensive line to just be able to stand in the pocket behind them.
Right.
So because of that, he had to get used to running and, extending plays and so forth. And so I think so Brett Veach has addressed that. He has reimagined and rebuilt this offensive line.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
So credit to Brett Veach. He is a much better GM than many people thought, including myself when he first got in there. So I will take that. I
do remember our conversation. You're like, well, we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
I was not sold on Brett Veach when he first got in there. So, I'm glad to be wrong, though. Glad to be wrong.
Oh, yeah.
By any means. So, but he has rebuilt that. And I think, I do not think him scrambling makes the offensive line worse.
Okay.
I think that the problem with what we saw in the game on Saturday is that he got hurt standing in the pocket. He was not scrambling. He was in the pocket when he got hurt.
Yeah.
And that was because of Orlando Brown. And I think there's another guy jumping kind of towards his, lower body too. But I don't remember whose guy that was. But I do remember Orlando Brown because Orlando Brown was getting beat over and over in that first quarter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could not hold his guy to save his life or Mahomes' life for that matter. And then, Mahomes gets hurt, and all of a sudden, Orlando Brown and that whole offensive line steps up. This offensive line needs to step up despite what happens to their quarterback, right?
Yeah.
This is a franchise quarterback who you can win a Super Bowl with, but if you have him on the sideline, it's going to be much harder to do so. And so the offensive line needs to step up no matter what. And so I would say the offensive line can be a great, pocket protector, offensive line, but pocket passer, that is. But I don't think it takes away from them when he scrambles because usually at this point he's scrambling when he needs to.
Yeah.
When the line is already broken down.
Okay. I get behind that. You may have convinced me, but it was interesting. It was just interesting to rewatch. I rewatched the game and I'd like, man, he kind of has a pocket. He's just standing there. But he was getting out quick. He wasn't like holding on to it for long periods of time. But so, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see Andy Reid's game plan for Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm
All right.
excited.
Well, let's jump into some of these games. So first off, the Bengals and the Bills played this past
Oh
Sunday.
yeah.
We've talked about that a little bit, but the Bengals kind of wiped the floor with them. It's almost fitting because the Bills were on the downward trend the last month or so, and Josh Allen was one of the main reasons for that.
Yeah.
You know, it was almost fitting that the game ended with a Josh Allen interception.
Oh yeah.
So,
Man, it was tough. It was tough to watch. I mean, I guess I have compassion. I felt bad for the Bills fans and the Buffalo Bills. And that's not normally because I never felt bad for the Raiders or the Denver Broncos or the Chargers.
never have.
I will never feel bad for the Bengals just because of how much trash talk. But Josh Allen's kind of a likable guy, right? He's kind of likable. He's,
Josh Allen?
Yeah, this is a little bit. He doesn't.
Okay.
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 All
We're
right. He's
definitely
kind of,
not. Okay. Have you watched much of these games? Like, that guy likes to start fights and then walk away from them and then blame everybody else for the fights.
That is true. Okay.
I mean, I'm not going to say that he's a likable guy.
All right. Well, you kind of root for Josh Allen. How about that? You root for him? I think I might.
Okay, you might. I don't.
Okay. All right. I'm just saying, I guess I hate the Bengals or dislike the Bengals so much more because of their attitude and how they have treated the Chiefs. I'm like, and we both talked about like we'd rather face the Bills than the Bengals anyway. Because I think it's a better matchup for us. And seeing that Josh Allen has been trending down, it was like, okay, this may be an easier road for the Chiefs. But yeah, so I was like, oh man, I kind of feel, and then you think about the early 90s. I know we were kids in the early 90s, but 4 straight Super Bowls, 4 straight losses. You're like, man, is this team ever going to get like a win? And I hope they don't. But it was just like,
if the Bills get a Super Bowl win, it means the Chiefs didn't. So
yeah. That's why I hope they don't. But if it's just like, man, they may never. I mean, just an organization. I mean, how long did we wait? We waited 50, not 50. Was it 50 years?
Yeah,
50 years.
50 years between the first and second one.
Yeah, and then Royals. Big Royals fan here, and we wait. I mean, the year I was born was the last time they won the World Series, and so it was old. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm feeling it, bud.
Was it 85? Is that right?
84.
Oh, 84. All right.
No, it was no. You're right. It was 85. I was born in 84. I was at the parade. of the Royals championship run there in 85. So I was like 10 months old in a stroller.
Well, when the Royals won their Super Bowl in 85, I was a month or so from coming forth from the womb. So I was I was alive, but not yet born.
You're so young. I wish I could be as young as you.
Young spring chicken over here.
But yeah, you kind of felt bad, but it was embarrassing as a fan. And I hope that Sunday, if we lose, which I don't think we will, but if we do, I hope it's not like that. 27-10.
Yeah.
Because that was pitiful.
Yeah. Well, we got just a few minutes left here on our podcast today, so let's jump into the game coming up, Chiefs versus Bengals. I think it's going to be a tough matchup. They always play tough against each other. The Bengals, even referred to Arrowhead as Burrowhead, referring that their quarterback, Joe Burrow, has ownership of Arrowhead Stadium. And so, as has been pointed out many times before, in this last calendar year, the Chiefs have lost to the Bengals 3 times. Twice in the regular season.
Man.
The Bengals is who knocked them out of the postseason in the AFC Championship game last year. And so
last year.
It's a tough matchup. It really is. But I think the Chiefs are going to be ready because they have now this doesn't mean the Chiefs are going to win, but I think the Chiefs have a great shot to win because they're going to come in here ready to play.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to come in there and be ready to play. But I think we probably need to do another episode on Friday, Red Friday, and release something about all the stats and all the different trash talking we've heard this week. Because I think it's going to get loud, and I think we hopefully would know more about Mahomes and his ankle. I know he's been on Twitter. He's been active on Twitter. I think I saw on Brittany Mahomes that little Sterling went to work with her dad. He's already working, and it's off day on Monday, and so he's working on that ankle. So I think Mahomes is doing everything he can to be on that field Sunday night, and I think it's going to be again. It may beat the Bills Chiefs game.
Yeah, it might,
because
it's going to be a close game either way. The spread keeps moving a little bit, but right now it started off with about 1 point in favor of the Chiefs. And
Yeah.
now it's moved to about 1.5 to 2 points toward the Bengals. So it could be money wise, could just be people. I don't know, but either way, that's the spread.
What are the Bengals going to do if they're not the underdog?
Well, they'll probably cry a little bit about it, but who knows? All right, some
Yeah.
keys to win the game. So here's my key. So for the Chiefs to win the game, first off,
Yeah.
their special teams has to not give up big plays. So they had 2 big returns against the
Oh yeah,
Jaguars.
that's good.
They cannot allow that against the Bengals. They also have to continue having Harrison Butker kick field goals and make them. Right?
50 yards in those conditions was pretty good.
Yeah,
he hit 2 of them.
2 50-yarders in the last game. So
yeah,
special teams is a big one. So second one is Orlando Brown, the offensive line. They have to protect Mahomes. So laugh all
this
you
is
want.
the most we've ever talked about Orlando Brown in an episode.
But he's got to protect the franchise.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes. Right?
Hey, he will. He'll be ready. Hey, he'll be ready. You mark my words. Orlando Brown will be ready.
All right. The next one I got is Mahomes has got to be he doesn't have to be 100%, but he's got to be close to it.
What percentage does he have to be?
75%. It's got to be 75%. And my last one that I'll say is the Chiefs secondary has got to step up against the Bengals.
Oh yeah. What does Mahomes need to be more healthy than he was in the second half?
Yes.
Okay. That just gives me a line. Yeah.
All right.
Some of my keys, I said before we started, I'm super interested to see what Andy Reid's attack and Eric Bieniemy, how they're gonna attack this with a bunch of quick passes, screens, things like that, motions. I mean, I think it's going to be all the bags, all the tricks are going to come out. So I'm excited to see what are they going to come up with. How can we get Mahomes still passing, but get the ball out of his hand? Travis Kelce has been said on his podcast that Andy Reid can draw a play to get his dad open. And so
nice. I like it.
Yeah, Andy Reid's going to have to do some mad scientist stuff and tweak some things, but I think the Chiefs are going to be ready. I think we saw Isaiah Pacheco 98 yards running.
Yep, 98.
So I think he needs to have another game like that. I think we need to sprinkle in all our running backs that are healthy and just and you saw, I think, that 98-yard drive. How many yards did Henne throw? Do you know?
I think it's only like 20-some yards.
23 yards. So the rest of that was running. Now Pacheco had a huge run, almost 40 yards down the sideline. But it was just like, okay, we can do that. I don't like them running with Jared McKinnon. I don't know how you feel about that. I think he's more of that screen or outside or things like that. But they did some cool things. The speed option with Tony was very effective, which I mean, that felt very mid-90s college option, but it worked. So you can't knock it. But
and I'll say I think that it's okay to run McKinnon every once in a while, because otherwise, if he's only in there for screen and pass protect, the defense knows what you're doing. So you have to run it with him sometimes when he's in there. I'm not saying he should be the main back by any means, but you have to run it every once in a while.
Well, I would like to see the fact where you get one of my favorite plays of Saturday was you had Blake Bell, Noah Gray, and Travis Kelce all in the game.
Yeah.
That is a mismatch nightmare.
Yes, it is.
Somewhere. And Noah Gray ended up being wide open. I think 27 yards down the field. And
nobody within probably 10 yards of him.
Yeah. It was unreal. And so I think where you have Travis Kelce and Bell require attention. I mean, Bell's been in the league for a long time, and he's known to make big catches and big plays. And so I think, you put those 3 tight ends, you can leave one maybe to back to protect. I think you're going to leave some extra guys to protect. And so I look, we're going to see a lot of 3 tight end sets, maybe Jody Forson. He's still on the team. Let's get him out there. Let's get some big guys, and let's protect Mahomes and keep him upright. But defense-wise, those linebackers, I think it's all going to depend on linebackers. So the Bengals running game really tore up the Bills, and so I think they're going to have confidence that they can run it with Mixon and what's the guy from Oklahoma?
Samaje Perine.
Yeah, Perine. I think they're going to have to slow them down, make them one-dimensional.
Yeah, and I think they ran it partially because it was a snow game up in Buffalo, and it's a lot easier to run in those kind of games rather than pass. And the Bengals had the better run offense than the Bills did, but everybody really needs to step up if we're being honest. But the Bengals might have the best receiving core in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, huge guy, and they got oh man, mine just went blank. The other guy too,
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Tyler Boyd. That's the other.
Oh,
guy.
Tyler Boyd. Oh, you said Chase. Okay.
Yeah, those three. So I mean, that's a great receiver.
And their tight end's not too shabby. Hurst, he's getting in the game.
Yep, he is. So So what's going to happen this game? What's your score prediction? So the line might keep moving, but just straight up, what's your who's going to win?
Is there any weather? There's no weather in the forecast, right? It's going to be clear. It's just going to be cold.
I haven't looked today, but I looked yesterday or sometime, and there was a chance of snow. But let me look. No, they took it off. So looks like a high of 22 degrees on Sunday, but cloudy. Doesn't look like any chance of snow or anything at this point.
Okay, so I'm saying it's going to be low scoring.
Cold.
Cold. And I think that's going to help the Chiefs. I mean, I think the fact that, some of those deep passes are taken away from Jamar Chase and things like that will be a good thing. So let's say it's going to be 27-24 Chiefs.
All right.
We're going to reverse the score. That was the score last year in the AFC Championship. I think it's going to be 27-24.
I got a similar score, but a little bit higher, 30-27 Chiefs. So
okay, 30-27.
It's going to be a close game either way, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it's either way it goes, it's not going to be by more than one possession unless something crazy happens. But it's going to be a one possession game, and I'm picking the Chiefs to win it by 3. So I take either one of these scores. Hopefully the Chiefs can pull that off and head to the next Super Bowl, but we'll see what happens. So we'll try to get you some more updates on some stats and stuff maybe later on this week, maybe on a Friday. But Red Friday. Yeah, that's right. Red Friday. We also had a Twitter contest this past week. And so if you're following us on Twitter, we're going to announce the winner on there, and we'll also be having some more giveaways here pretty soon. So if you're not already, follow us on Twitter. It's Kingdom_Korner is our Twitter handle. So follow us on there. You can get all the great insights that we're thinking about the games and so forth as well. So this episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads, where every purchase goes to help support missionaries all over the world, one super soft tea at a time. Thanks for joining us in this episode of the Kingdom Corner here with Dale and Andrew. We will see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.